Welcome back, Arkham fans! It has been a year since I last talked about the Arkham series. During that time, my channel exploded because I talked about my favorite character in Arkham Origins, which was Bane. But if you were to ask me which character was my favorite across the entire Arkham series, it wouldn't be Bane. In fact, Bane would be nowhere close to that title because his other appearances throughout the series were so mid. But you've seen the title and thumbnail, so enough beating around the bush. Arkham's Riddler is easily my favorite character across the entire series. He's a man who never fails to entertain me, and his questlines are always one hell of an experience. But so many players ignore that experience because of the metric shit ton of collectibles you need to complete them. Any sane man would look at the amount of challenges you need to do in Arkham City and run away screaming. But I'm not a sane man. I love Riddler, and I always go out of my way to beat him whenever I replay the games. When I thought back on it, I realized so many players don't experience his questline and are missing out on some of the best content in the Arkham series. So I decided to take it upon myself to share that experience with you. I'll start with Arkham Asylum and share every notable interaction with Riddler and his questline throughout all 4 games. As I do, I'll also give my thoughts and make a few jokes here and there. Ultimately, my goal is to not only share this experience with you, but hopefully help you understand why Riddler is my favorite character in the Arkham series. Arkham Asylum is the game that started it all, and it's crazy that it's already around 16 years old. What's crazier is that this game still kicks so much ass, and it's no wonder that it's one of the best games of all time. But enough praising the game because it's time to talk about Riddler. He introduces himself in the first hour of gameplay after you find out that Officer Bowles is dead.
Hear me, Batman? I know you can. Yes, it is I, Edward Enigma, the Riddler, and more importantly, your intellectual superior. My genius has allowed me to easily hack into your primitive communications. My goal is simple. You complete a series of amusingly taxing challenges and, well, you'll see. Ready for your first one? Good. But be careful. Don't cut yourself on this sharply observed portrait.
Right out the gate, we are introduced to one of the 5 Riddler challenge types in the game, which is the Riddles. You'll get a cryptic hint and have to find the object in the environment that it's referring to. Afterward, you just have to scan it and you'll complete the riddle. In this case, you have to scan the portrait of Warden Sharp.
So you did it! Well done! I would have expected a child to work that one out, let alone the world's greatest detective.
These are my favorite type of Riddler challenges in Arkham Asylum because they do a lot of world building. They'll have you visit the cells of some of the super criminals that used to stay here, have some of their gadgets on display, and more. Upon completing them, you'll even get bios of the character the riddle is related to. In those bios, you'll get a brief summary of their story, facts like what comic issues they're from, and some kick-ass comic book style artwork, but that's not the only challenge type in the game, and I figure I may as well introduce them all now. So we already know the riddle, but another type of scannable challenge is the perspective puzzles. On my first playthroughs of Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, these things stumped me for hours. They seem simple enough at first. You have to find 2 pieces of a question mark and then position your camera in a specific way that they come together, making a complete question mark. Afterwards, all you have to do is scan it to complete the riddle.
Don't get too full of yourself, Dark Knight. It only gets harder from here.
However, finding both pieces are a pain in the ass. You'll most likely find one piece and then spend a good chunk of time trying to locate the other half. These are easily the most time-consuming and frustrating challenges in the game. Next up are his iconic Riddler trophies. I've already said my piece about these back in my old Arkham Asylum video, but basically a majority of these things are out in the open or hidden in places a 5-year-old would consider a good spot. On top of that, the ones that aren't out in the open most likely require a gadget from story progression. And then we have the Destructibles, which in this game are just the chattering teeth that Joker leaves around. If you're ever planning to take down Riddler, destroy every single one of these things as you complete the story. Because if you miss a single one, good luck finding it because they can't be marked on the map. I'm almost certain that these things caused a lot of frustration for players looking to beat Riddler because of that fact alone. Last but not least are the collectibles. There are Riddler maps and tapes to be collected throughout the rest of the game. The maps are self-explanatory. They mark every Riddler challenge in the area on the map, making it incredibly easy to find them. Then we have the tapes, which are audio recordings of interviews with the main villains of the game. Both collectible types are spectacular. The map makes beating Riddler a breeze, and the tapes further immerse me in the world of Arkham. Arkham. I also forgot to mention there's another type of recording known as the Chronicles of Arkham. These creepy stones can be found throughout Arkham Asylum, and once scanned will play audio from the spirit of Amadeus Arkham. You'll hear how the asylum came to be and where Arkham went wrong. These things are downright creepy, but I can't get enough of them. They also lead to a pretty cool ending to Amadeus Arkham's story, which I enjoyed. And that covers every single different Riddler challenge type found in Arkham Asylum. Keep this in mind because this is the foundation that the rest of the series builds upon for future Riddler challenges. Now we're gonna skip ahead far into the game just after you beat Poison Ivy, because this is the point of the game where you could either beat Riddler or beat the game itself. I completed a lot of challenges beforehand, so I only had around 100 challenges left, and thus it only took me around 2 hours to beat Riddler.
I don't believe it. How did you work that one out?
I highly recommend this approach of doing whatever Riddler challenges you see naturally as you play the story, and then doing cleanup once you beat Ivy. Riddler will shit talk you every step of the way, but as you get closer, he'll start becoming more and more frustrated.
What? You destroyed them all, but that's impossible!
He'll convince himself that you're cheating, receiving help, or both.
Are you cheating? Looking them up on the internet? Tell me.
Oh shit, he's on to me. Eventually you'll complete your second to last challenge, and Batman decides the best way to celebrate his imminent victory is to dox the shit out of Riddler. So after completing the last challenge, you get one last call from Eddie.
What? You did it? You must have cheated. There is no way you could have beaten me. Well, you asked for it, Batman. My final challenge for the whole of Gotham is just seconds away. What? Sirens. The police. You cheated, Batman. You couldn't have outsmarted me. Police, open up! No. They should open the door now! No! Down on the ground! Down on the ground! No! Tell me, how did you work out where I was? Do you hear me? I, Edward Enigma,
And that's the end of Riddler's side quest in Arkham Asylum. Finding and completing every Riddler challenge is easy as hell, making this the easiest game to beat Riddler in. It only took me 8 hours to beat him and make my way to the end of the game. For beating Riddler, you'll receive many rewards, which makes sense since he's tied to the collectibles. You'll receive combat challenge maps, character models, and tapes. Not only that, but it'll also contribute to 100% file completion and several achievements as a result. Aside from that, I don't have much to say. Riddler is painfully simple in Arkham Asylum, which makes sense since this formula would be the foundation upon which the future Riddler challenges would be built upon. But Riddler isn't too happy we beat him, and thus he comes back for revenge in Arkham City. Arkham City is the fan favorite of the franchise. Everybody adores this game, and it's many players' favorite game in the series. I don't blame them because the story is unforgettable, the change to an open world made sense, and all of the new ideas made the gameplay even more fresh. But not every change was so well received because Arkham City is easily the most annoying game to beat Riddler in. Compared to the other games, Riddler is an asshole in Arkham City. The man is pissed we beat him back at the asylum, so he quite literally comes back with a vengeance and makes us complete 440 Riddler challenges, which are comprised of Riddler trophies, riddles, perspective puzzles, and destructibles. He's also taken hostages which need to be rescued. Mind you, this is the Arkham game with the most Riddler challenges to complete. The only one that comes close was Arkham Knight with its 243 Riddler challenges. It's very clear that beating Riddler on Arkham City is one hell of an undertaking, and I'm going to put myself through it so you guys can get a glimpse of what the experience is like. Our story with Riddler begins way before we ever meet him. You see, Joker's men had taken over the church in Arkham City, which is where Aaron Cash's crew was stationed. Cash is now leading a group of guards that defends the doctors as they help out the residents of Arkham City in the church. Unfortunately for them, Joker's crew showed up and took them hostage. After clearing out the goons, we can talk with Aaron Cash and continue the story. While we're gone, Riddler takes everyone hostage and decorates the church. These poor people had already been taken hostage once tonight, and now they're in the clutches of Riddler's crazy ass. We eventually get a signal from the church and go to investigate it. You can also get some optional dialogue if you find one of his riddles that requires hacking to unlock it. He'll tell you to stop jumping the gun and go to the church. You can get extra dialogue by continuing your attempts at hacking it despite his demands. He'll get progressively more frustrated at you as you do.
Oh, come on, it won't work. A child can see that. You need to come to the church. Listen to me carefully. I'll speak slowly enough that even you stand a reasonable chance of following this not terribly complicated conversation. If you want to no more. You need to go to the church!
So whether or not you pissed him off or went straight for the church, we come face to face with Enigma. Sure, it's just a projection of him, but at least we could see the fucker. In Arkham Asylum, he was a glorified audiobook, so this is a huge improvement.
Oh no! Where have they gone? Could it be that while you were out doing what you do, I, the Riddler, snuck in and took all those poor, stupid fools?
Where have you taken them?
Questions, questions, Dark Knight. It's not you who needs answers here, it's me. You answer my riddles and I tell you where they are. You answer my riddles and they don't die. So, shall we begin? I'm an instrument whose music always comes from the heart. What am I? Well done! See, you can do it! Solve enough of my carefully constructed conundrums, and I'll tell you where the rest of my hostages are. The first is in the courtroom. I suggest you hurry. He may have been sentenced already. Don't get too comfortable, Dark Knight. All through Arkham City, deep undercover, are people working to ensure that I am informed of what the other so-called super criminals are planning. Right now, one of them is arranging a little welcoming committee for you outside.
The stage is now set. We have to find and rescue all of Riddler's hostages, but he'll literally cuck us and gatekeep their locations until you solve enough of his riddles. These riddles can be found naturally, but that option can be slow, so the game introduces Riddler informants as a replacement for the maps back in Arkham Asylum. These informants can be interrogated if you leave them alone till they're the last one standing. Upon doing so, they'll mark some riddles on your map, but knock them out before you can interrogate them and you'll miss out on the info. They randomly spawn throughout the map, so keeping an eye out for them while doing the main story is the way to go. And that pretty much covers the general information of how this Riddler hunt will go. You interrogate any sorry fucker you see glowing bright green, you solve those riddles, and eventually you solve enough to save a hostage. You rinse and repeat until you've solved every riddle and beaten Riddler, which means now is the time to get into specifics. There are many types of riddles that you'll be needing to solve to save those hostages, and I figure I may as well talk about them now. So that big ass number of 443 is a bit of a lie. There's only around 410 Riddler challenges to complete. That's because there's around 30 Riddler challenges focused on combat and such, which isn't required for beating him. That of course doesn't change too much, but don't let that big ass number scare you. A majority of the riddles in this game are piss easy to get. Sure, there are a lot of them, but you can start racking up a ton of them quickly. But enough about that, let's start with the Riddler trophies, because there are tons of different obstacles and puzzles in your way. The easy Riddler trophies will be locked behind a singular destructible wall, hackable panel, great, or just be out in the open waiting to be collected. There's not much to say about these trophies other than the fact that they are in abundance. They make up a majority of the Riddler trophies you'll be collecting. That's not all though, because there are also Riddler trophies for Catwoman, which you can only collect while playing as Selina.
What do you call a bat that thinks he can take something for a hat?
Not much to say about these since I just find them slightly annoying. Like, I much prefer playing as Batman, and a lot of her trophies aren't even interesting. The next contraption standing in your way of some trophies will be the ball puzzles. All you gotta do is power the nearby generators to guide the ball towards the end. Some of these will get pretty complex as time goes on. For example, there's one in Amusement Mile where you gotta throw an ice grenade down the alleyway. You then have to use the line launcher to land on the platform you just created, and from there you'll see the generator. By aiming towards only the top part of it, and I mean the slimmest, tiniest part of it, you can power it on and get the ball up to the end of the course. Overall, these Riddler challenges aren't frustrating and can be solved fairly quickly. The next type of Riddler puzzle is the buttons. There are many varieties of button puzzles. There are timed ones, sequenced ones, and even a Simon Says one. The timed ones are fairly simple, just locate and hit all the buttons within the time frame. These puzzles will usually require a batarang, explosive gel, or both to complete them. There are some challenging versions of this puzzle later on, but it's still nothing too difficult. You'll complete most of them in a flash. But these fucking button sequences caused me a lot of pain on my first playthrough. Specifically, one puzzle comes to mind. Like, the rest might have actually been fine, but this one was an asshole. It's located near Park Row if I remember correctly, and it seems simple enough. You stand on the pressure panel and they'll light up one after another in a sequence. So I go to place my explosive gel, power it on, and trigger the explosives. This of course failed miserably because I only hit the first button, and now was out of explosive gel to hit the rest. For the next 20 minutes, I would go on to try everything to try and hit these fucking buttons. Then I would look it up to learn you can choose which explosive gel to detonate if you zoom in. I'm almost certain the game never teaches you this. Like, I literally used this technique for this one fucking Riddler puzzle and then never again. And I think that's what makes Riddler so annoying to beat in Arkham City. There's a lot of quirks with the gadgets and puzzles that you have to pretty much learn on your own. Now, I'm not saying the lack of hand-holding is a bad thing. I think it's awesome that you progressively learn about your tools in Riddler's puzzles as you complete them. Sure, I was pissed off at the puzzle, but that's on me for not trying everything. So even though I hated that fucking puzzle, it taught me something new, and that's something I can respect. But I hope that helps you understand why this version of Riddler can be so painful to beat. There are just some puzzles that will stump you for a very long time, but that's just part of the experience. Moving on, the next Riddler contraption is the pressure panels. These were used for some of the button puzzles, but they have their own challenges as well. Some of them can be as simple as standing on the pad and grabbing the trophy, but others will get more complex. There's a version of these contraptions that needs you to stand or touch each panel without touching the floor, so using gliding techniques or gadgets like the line launcher is necessary. These things whooped my ass on my first playthrough because my timing would be off, so I'd jump off my line launcher or disengage my glide too soon, and just barely miss the pad, forcing me to reset. Last but not least, the final Riddler contraption you can encounter is the Riddler Death Rooms. There's only 2 of them in the game, and they both have killed me at least once. That's because they require a singular gadget to complete them, and if you don't have it, then you'll be dead in seconds. The first room requires you to use the line launcher and perch on top of it to survive. The second one simply needs the freeze blast so you can block the deadly air pumps. I wish I had more to say about these rooms, but they are piss easy since you just need the right gadget to beat them, and there are only 2 of them in the entire game. So that's all of the Riddler contraptions covered, but there's still more you need to do to beat him. Just like in the Asylum, there are plenty of destructibles to find and destroy throughout Arkham City. These will range from balloons and cameras outside to the Harley Quinn statues, penguins, demon heads, and more from the inside interiors. These are a lot easier to find and destroy compared to the Chattering Teeth in Arkham Asylum, and that's because they get marked on the map by Riddler's informants. Returning from Arkham Asylum is the Riddles, and there are way more to be found throughout Arkham City. Now, there isn't too much to say since they work just like they did back in the Asylum. Despite me not having much to say about these riddles and perspective puzzles, they stumped me for so long on my first playthrough. Of course, I remember vaguely where everything is on my recent playthrough, but in the past it caused me so much pain and time trying to find the shit that I needed. And that said, last but not least is the perspective puzzles. They decided to keep them around for Arkham City, but this is luckily the last time we ever have to do them because they aren't included in the rest of the series. They work exactly as they did in the Asylum, but now they have an open world to hide in, and some are just downright evil. There's one near Joker's steel mill that stumped me for around an hour on my first playthrough. You can see half of the big ass question mark on the wall, but finding that fucking dot took me so long that I practically lost my mind. And some of these will get tricky, so keep your eyes open and look everywhere. That covers all the Riddler challenges you'll be doing as you earn your way to the hostages and eventually Riddler himself. But keep in mind you also have to complete the Payphone Killer, Mr. Freeze, Bane, and Mad Hatter questlines to complete some riddles. They don't take too long and broke up the Riddler grind, so I didn't mind that. So we'll be moving on from explaining the challenges and dive into each hostage situation. The first Riddler hostage can be found in the courtroom guarded by a Riddler informant and some two-faced thugs. Just whoop their asses and the hostage is saved. After saving a hostage, they'll give you a radio frequency which you'll hack. Upon doing so, one of 2 things can happen. Riddler will either cuck the shit out of you and tell you that you are too broke and should complete more of his challenges.
Too soon, Dark Knight. The missing ingredient to finding hostages is secrets, and you don't have enough.
Or he'll give you a riddle and the location of the next hostage upon solving it. Side note, I really like these little Riddler boxes he gives you. It's just a simple riddle solving minigame, but I found it charming. Nonetheless, that's one hostage saved, and it's time to head to the next one. We now move away from the locations we are familiar with and enter Riddler's challenge room. The hostages will be kept in rooms like this one from here on. Since I want this video to include as much of Riddler as possible, I will now be playing his voice lines of when he introduces us to the challenges and when we complete them. So with that said, we enter the building and Riddler welcomes us.
So you decided to finally show up, did you?
Let them go, Riddler. They're innocent.
Don't be stupid, Dark Knight. They wouldn't find themselves in the predicament they are currently in if they had tried to think just a few steps ahead now, would they? Now, if you solve the room ahead and 4 other equally challenging ones, you save them. If you don't, then they die. And we'll see if society crumbles at their passing.
You're insane.
No, that would imply either mental illness or derangement. I suffer from neither. Oh, and yes, I can see you, Batman, and I look forward to watching you
The first challenge room looks intimidating, but it's actually easy as hell. All you have to do is hit the question marks on the wall to make a safe path. The path will only remain for a limited time, so you have to move quickly. After one close call near the elevator, I reached the hostage and saved the day.
625925. 625925. That's what he told me to tell you. I don't know what it means, but he said he'd kill the others if I didn't tell you exactly what he said. Why doesn't he just tell you what he wants?
Because he's insane.
Roll up, roll up. It's time for my latest game.
Help me!
All you need to do is keep your eyes on the prize.
This is like that one cup game where a ball is placed into one of 3 cups, and you have to keep your eye on it as they're moved around. Only problem is that it's life or death, and Riddler pulls some bullshit. So most players, including myself, will think it's pretty straightforward and play the game normally. When it's time to guess, you'd make your pick, and even though it was probably right, your guess will be completely empty. The poor hostage will then be revealed before this happens.
The winner is me!
No, please, help! Ah!
You picked wrong, Dark Knight.
So what you have to do is use detective vision to see where the hostage goes. Once you do, you can see Riddler is a cheating little bitch and has the hostage move underground and into the far left cup. So all the stuff above ground is just meant to be a distraction. Either way, you make your guess and Enigma starts getting frustrated with you.
Shall we see if you were right? What? No. How did you do that? There's no way you could have solved that one, Batman. Even I couldn't. You must have cheated. Consider this a warning. From here on in, it gets harder.
You know how this song and dance goes, so skipping ahead, we're at the 4th Riddler hostage. Before we begin, Riddler has this to say.
I've done it. This is one puzzle you cannot solve. I've studied your techniques, reviewed your childish gadgets, and there is nothing in your arsenal that can help you defeat this group. The hostage will die, and I will be victorious.
Now this room isn't difficult in the slightest, we just have to use our gadgets to progress through the room and reach the hostage. So first up is the water section where you'll need the freeze blast and bat claw to safely make your way across. Riddler will then be dumbfounded at how you're doing this as you use the remote charge and batarangs to hit the question marks.
What? How did you... Where did you... This is cheating. Do you hear me? Cheating!
Afterward, we use the line launcher to get through his fucking death hallway and enter the next room as he shit talks us some more. The puzzle here is simple. You use the remote charge to move a box onto the pad, which then gives us access to the hostage.
Riddle me this. I'll be right under your feet in the midday sun. You cannot lose me, no matter how you run. What am I? You actually managed to complete enough challenges, Dark Knight. If you think you can hear me clapping, then you are obviously suffering from some sort of delusion, for I am doing no such thing. Solve my riddle and find the hostage. No, this is not happening. Did you cheat? Of course you did. It's the only way. Well, it ends now. Here's the next location. You won't be able to cheat your way past this problem.
No! You couldn't possibly have done that. How did you... Who helped you? You cheated. I know you cheated. Oh, this isn't over tonight. Oh, no. Now things get far more difficult. People will die and you will be to blame. To blame. To blame. To blame.
To blame. Oh my god. What the fuck was that?
What kept you? Did you get lost? Were you scared? Did I finally get to you? Have you accepted that I am the winner here? Have I ground you down? Have I made my point? No. Well, this next room will. That, I guarantee.
This room has a big-ass saw moving from one end to the other, but aside from that, it works almost identically to the first challenge room, where we just have to hit the question marks to make a safe path. We make our way upstairs where Eddie gives us some good advice.
I cannot begin to fathom the level at which your primitive brain functions. Allow me to give you some help. Give up and die.
Instead of listening to him, we pass the rest of the obstacles and save the hostage.
Riddle me this. Hit me hard and I will crack. But you'll never stop me from staring back. What am I? How did you do that? Who helped you? Tell me. Actually, it doesn't matter. Come and save the final guard. I'll be as shocked if you don't come and save her as she'll be if you do.
What's good for me and potentially fatal for you, Dark Knight? Don't bother taxing your tiny mind, for the answer is obviously my final puzzle. Will you save the ignorant guard? I'll be shocked if you do. As you can see, Dark Knight, that ignorant guard is currently experiencing the shocking sensation of her own mortality. Can you help her without experiencing yours?
Now we're on to the last hostage, but in reality, Riddler has a lot more, but he's expecting this room to kill us. To give Riddler credit, this room is an absolute gauntlet. It is filled to the brim with obstacles. You'll have to use a majority of your gadgets and the experience you got up until this point to pass them all. It takes a while, but you'll eventually make it to the end and save the hostage.
You weren't supposed to do that! That room was impossible! How did you... Oh, this isn't over, Dark Knight. You may have defeated me tonight, but I'll be back.
Where is he?
I'll deal with Riddler. Just tell me the code.
Code?
He gave everyone else a code. Why didn't he give you one?
He sounded like he thought you'd die in here. I guess he was wrong.
Oracle, we've got a problem. I solved the last Riddler room, but there wasn't a radio frequency.
What's he up to?
I don't think he thought I'd defeat his last room.
That's good, right?
He's still got hostages from the church. If they're still alive, I need to find them. Search every record about the buildings he's used so far. There may be a connection there.
Right. Listen to me carefully. I still have more of those guards, so... I'll just need a couple of days and I will make a puzzle so taxing that you will never solve it. I will. You'll see.
So Riddler wasn't expecting us to win, so he's gonna hunker down in his base and try to scheme up some way to beat us. But people are still in danger, so we're not gonna give him that luxury. Unfortunately for poor Eddie, I completed all of his challenges at this point. So Oracle doxes the fuck out of him and I head to his base of operations.
I think I found something that links all the Riddler rooms. It looks like they were all owned by a Mr. Fine. He seems to have acted as some sort of property broker.
When was this?
Before Arkham City was built. It's a long shot, I know, but he sold one other property 3 months before Arkham opened. There's no record of who to, but I'm sending you the location now.
Thanks, Oracle. I'll check it out.
He puts a lot of explosives at the door, so we have to crawl through the vents, where we finally get to see Riddler with our own eyes.
Riddler, when I get out of here, I'm gonna hurt you for this. You hear me?
Come now, Mr. Cash. In order to hurt me, you would have to break free from the predicament you currently find yourself in, and attack me in such a way that does not cause me to press this remote detonator, distributing your primitive DNA all over the walls.
I'll do it.
You'll try, I'll give you that. But I doubt you will succeed without blowing yourself up. Oh, and I'm sure I mentioned the remote detonator I have here. One press, Cash, and you ignorant buffoons will be all over the walls.
I can walk all night, Riddler.
Good. Let's see if you still feel the same tomorrow.
Up until this point, Riddler has been a projection on a screen, and in Arkham Asylum, you didn't even see the fucker outside of his artwork in the bio. But now we can see him, and that means we can hurt him. He's got the remaining hostages moving around, and we have to stay out of their way, otherwise they'll explode. 2 unfortunate victims already met this fate, judging by the crossed out names on the board next to Enigma. Ultimately, it's pretty easy to make your way through here, and we eventually get underneath Riddler, ready to deliver the final blow.
What? This cannot be happening. Do you really expect me to fall for this, Dark Knight? I know you won't kill me.
True, but you can't say the same about the others, can you?
Get your ass moving, Riddler.
You can't tell me what to do.
Do I need to press the button?
What? No. You'll pay for this, Batman.
You sure this thing won't work?
No. But there's no point in letting him know that, is there?
And with that, I have completed Arkham City's Riddler. It took me around 12 hours to beat and was an absolute slog because there's fucking 400 challenges you need to complete. This means I've now reached the halfway point. There are still 2 games left to beat Riddler in, but before we can get to those, I still have to go over the rewards. Beating Riddler of course builds towards 100% file completion and some achievements. But like usual, you also receive concept art, character models, audio tapes, and the challenge maps. You also get to punch Riddler in the face and fuck with him as he walks around. Well, until he breaks your Batman like he did to me. Ooh.
What are you doing?
Ooh. Riddler, ooh.
What are you doing? You're in my way!
Oh, I broke myself, no! No! Riddler, shit! No! Batman, please. No, I'm fucking stuck. Riddler fucking broke me. I can't do anything. Fucking damn it. It's safe to say this was way more challenging than Arkham Asylum in every way. Riddler actually lived up to his name, putting riddles and challenges everywhere throughout the city. Gone are the days where he'd just leave these fuckers out in the open. He's actually trying this time, and I respect that. Plus, the rewards are better, and you get to actually see him this time. So with that, Arkham City is out of our way, and it's time to play Arkham Origins. Arkham Origins was once my favorite game in the Arkham series, so I have a lot of love for this game. It was only recently beaten by Arkham Asylum last year, but it still holds a special place in my heart. But since this was my favorite Arkham game for a very long time, it was also the first game I had ever beaten Riddler in. So let's hope I can do it justice and keep this train going. We meet Riddler, or should I say Enigma, within the first hour of gameplay. Batman was using Alfred's custom-made nav point to head towards Jezebel Plaza to ambush the Penguin's weapon deal. But on the way, we experience some disturbance, which is coming from the nearby GCR tower. Batman heads to investigate, beating up some thugs and making his way to the crime scene. An employee had been sent to the tower to fix it, but when he swiped his card, he was blown to smithereens. Batman eventually makes it through the door safely and attempts to hack the tower, and that's when we finally meet Enigma.
Well, if it isn't the King Thug himself. Figured it was only a matter of time before you showed up. Sorry about the mess downstairs.
Who is this?
Think of me as a great big mystery, one you're never going to solve.
Enigma, then.
Oh, you must think you're so clever. Well, how's this for clever? I've taken control of towers all over the city. As long as they're active, your Batwing's useless. And it looks like it's gonna stay that way. I mean, this one's practically begging to be taken offline, and you still can't hack it. Pun intended, of course.
Fuck you, Enigma. Fuck you. You broke my cutscene. My video.
Black Mask's not going to like this.
What are you talking about?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Now, as we can see, since this is Arkham Origins, Enigma isn't obsessed with beating Batman just yet. Instead, he just sees Batman as a nuisance that'll be getting in his way. Skipping ahead, Batman finds the location of Enigma's base and heads there to investigate.
Enigma, where are you?
I'm right here. Well, figuratively speaking anyway. Disappointed I didn't choose to meet up in person?
What's this about? Sionis hire you to throw me off his trail?
Think of me as an information broker. I've got data handlers everywhere, feeding me all kinds of interesting stuff.
And you think this is going to destroy Gotham?
Oh, yes. See, bullet wounds and broken bones will eventually heal, but incriminating photos, videos, emails, that kind of damage can never be repaired. Tomorrow morning, when I release everything I've got, the city's going to collapse. Resignations, arrests, deaths. It'll be chaos in the streets, Batman, and there's not a thing you can do to stop me.
I figured you'd try and get all caveman on my equipment. It's password protected, I'm afraid, with 10,000 volts of electricity. You've lost, Batman. Might as well head home and get some rest. With everyone's deepest, darkest secrets about to go on public display, I've got a feeling tomorrow's going to be a very busy day for you.
So heading to Enigma's base seemed like a complete waste of time, but Batman ain't about to take that shit lying down. So out of spite, he pulls some bullshit out of his ass and marks down the location of every data handler Enigma has hired. This is one of the best parts of the Enigma grind in Arkham Origins. Unlike in Arkham City and Arkham Knight, Enigma's handlers aren't randomly spawned throughout the game. Instead, they have set spawns, and as such, they have unique interactions with Batman. They obviously boil down to the usual, give me that shit or I break your arm type of conversation, but like I said, the interactions are unique from each other, so the handlers and Batman will say different lines. This is a breath of fresh air from the repeated random-ass lines from Arkham City and eventually Arkham Knight. It also means I don't have to fly around praying to God these fuckers actually spawn in. On top of that, since there are only so many of these data handlers out there, you don't have to single them out in combat. Instead, you have to wail on them and knock them out. Then they'll sit on the ground waiting for you to clean up the rest of the goons and interrogate them. This obviously makes the grind a hell of a lot easier, which some people would probably not appreciate. As annoying as it is, singling out Enigma's goons in the other games was a tough but fair challenge, testing your restraint and control while fighting, which really makes you feel like Batman. But honestly, I don't give a flying fuck that they changed it in this game. I'm doing 4 of these bitches, and 3 of these games have this style of marking riddles on the map. So I don't give a shit if one of the games makes it a cakewalk for me. I will acknowledge that it's easier and more mind-numbing than the other games, but it doesn't make it any less enjoyable for me, and I see it as a plus. Anyways, let's move on to claiming the rest of the GCR towers. Most are able to be gotten early in the game, but a few of them will require some gadget from story progression. There's not much to say about these things though. You head to a tower, figure out its gimmick, and then listen to Enigma shit talk you at every point. And then you find the main server, hack it, and claim the tower. Afterward, you have a chat with Enigma as he slowly gets more annoyed with you as you continue claiming towers.
Now you need to stop interfering with my work. Tackling these towers is one thing, but my handlers, my data, my network relays, those aren't meant for you, so back off!
Something to note is that sometimes Enigma will say some funny ass lines, like when he tried to distract me while I pilot a controlled batarang.
I bet steering that thing requires a whole lot of concentration. Oops! Sorry about that!
I adore this interaction not only because it's funny as hell, but it shows how differently Enigma is portrayed in this game compared to the rest of the series. Homie is a smartass and will talk so much shit whenever he gets the chance, but it's not his usual shit talking. He doesn't see Batman as a worthy rival, so he tries to annoy him, which is really cool to see. It's very similar to how he acted back in Arkham Asylum now that I think about it, but the differences between the performances are night and day. Of course, not every joke lands because yes, Enigma, I get it. I destroy property and open doors like a caveman, but you don't have to mention it every time I do so. But nonetheless, I like how different yet familiar Enigma is in this game. Anyways, we reach his final tower about halfway into this game, complete it like the rest, and he has this to say.
You must be feeling pretty good about yourself, Batman. I mean, you took down all the towers, which means you foiled my plan. Except, oh wait, I already have all the data I need. And as soon as I'm done uploading it, so will everyone in Gotham.
There's still time for me to put an end to this.
True, there is. Just not very much. It was a valiant attempt, though. You get an A for effort, but an F for impact.
Now we move on to the Riddler grind, or in this case, the Enigma grind. We have to head through the city hunting down Enigma's relay towers and data packs. There are a total of 70 network relays to destroy and 200 data packs to collect. So we got our work cut out for us. But as you can already tell, this Enigma grind is leagues easier than the others for several reasons. Enigma hasn't fully embraced being the Riddler yet since he hasn't started his rivalry with Batman. So there are no riddles to be scanned or question marks to be pieced together. It's just data pack collecting and network relay smashing. Not only that, but WB Montreal must have felt bad for the horrendous Riddler grind in Arkham City, because they made a majority of these data packs a cakewalk to collect. It's as if they looked at Arkham Asylum and were inspired to take that approach to the Riddler grind, because most of these things are yet again in random ass spots out in the open. Not to the extent in Arkham Asylum, since a lot of them require at least one gadget to get them, but it's not like that changes much since you just have to press like 2 extra buttons and boom, you get a data pack. I'm not even joking, a majority of these data packs in this game are either out in the open, behind a destructible wall, or locked behind a powered generator. The ones that try to act more complex fail since they only require an extra gadget or half a brain cell. Only a handful of data packs were challenging, or at the very least, not a complete pushover. There was this one data pack locked behind a button that was hidden in a shipping crate. To hit that button, you had to throw a remote batarang into the shipping crate and avoid the obstacles inside. Now, it wasn't even remotely challenging, but it was unique from the other data packs. It made me actually focus for a second, and I found it charming. These type of data packs were fun, and I really wish there were more like it in the game. Because I'm not exaggerating when I say 95% of the data packs in this game were mind-numbingly easy to collect. That's not all though, because as I got closer to collecting every data pack, I noticed something odd. Despite collecting every marked data pack, some parts of the map still stated I had not collected them all, but it gave me no indication of where they were hiding. Little did I know you have to beat Black Mask, Anarchy, and Bird to find the last data packs. This is because they unlock buildings that have them inside. But you wouldn't know this without looking it up, because the map tells you there are still data packs to be found, but doesn't tell you where to look. I can imagine this drove some players insane until they looked at Enigma's case file and saw some unmarked buildings with data packs in them. Those players probably then went to investigate those buildings only to find out that they were locked, and the game will give you no indication of which side quests will unlock these buildings. Now, I know Arkham City did this as well, but I also want to kind of like throw a counter argument at myself. Yes, I found this annoying, and yes, this confused me, but I realized that anyone who is trying to beat Riddler has either beaten the game or is currently trying to beat the game in every side quest within it. So either way, players are going to find out where these data packs are. It's just stupid asses like me who come back to these games maybe years down the line that forget which side quests these could be a part of. So I want to say this argument was kind of stupid, but I also want to say that it does have some weight, because someone like me, like I said, went back to this game years later and did not know which fucking side quests to do. So I literally spent like an hour, flying across the Bowery, Park Row, or wherever the hell, trying to find those 1 data packs, not knowing that it was locked behind a side quest. I really wish Arkham City or Arkham Origins made this a little bit more clear, but nonetheless, it's not like it's the worst thing ever. If you're doing Riddler, you're probably doing all of the story or have done the story, so you'll probably remember where you need to go and not waste as much time as I did. But nonetheless, the grind came to a close and it took me a playthrough of around 11 hours and 49 minutes. And in that time, I claimed all of the towers, destroyed all the network relays, interrogated all the handlers, and gathered all 200 data packs. To achieve this, that means I also had to beat the main story, along with Black Mask, Anarchy, and Bird. Feeling accomplished, we head back to Enigma's base and destroy his PC.
Well, look at that! You figured it out! I'm impressed. Annoyed, too. But your achievement signals a level of intellect rarely seen in Gotham. It seems you're quite the riddle. Now, don't get too comfortable. You see, I learned something else tonight. The nastiest, dirtiest little secret you can imagine. It puts the rest of my collection to shame. But I'm going to wait to release it, if only because it means I get to watch you squirm as you wonder what on earth it is. I'll be in touch soon.
Looks like he's no longer an imminent threat. I can close this case.
Batman's rivalry with Enigma has officially begun, and he walks away with a secret we may never know of. But that's not all. There's a nearby room, and in my opinion, what's behind that door makes everything worth it. We see early stages of Enigma's contraptions that he'll be using later on in his career. We also see a nearby board of him questioning who Batman is. But across from here is a destructible wall, and hiding behind it is something truly amazing. As someone who has always given Enigma my time, seeing a Riddler trophy after spending hours seeing nothing but data packs put a smile on my face. Yes sirree, we are staring at the first ever Riddler trophy, and now I can stop referring to this man as Enigma because now he's the Riddler. Overall, Arkham Origins was a very easy game to beat Riddler in. Like I said previously, bro must have taken a lot from his Arkham Asylum counterpart, because a majority of these things were either placed in obvious spots or locked behind some puzzle that only required a single gadget. Very rarely did things get complex, so it can be a mind-numbing grind. Despite this, I personally found it very relaxing. I could just shut off my brain and vibe as I hunted down everything I needed. The only time I got annoyed was when I had to go beat down Black Mask, Anarchy, and Bird, because I was pretty confused as to where the last data packs were, but I eventually pieced it together and got them all in like 30 minutes. Since Riddler hasn't completely lost his mind yet, he is very different in this game. He's a lot more sarcastic, spending most of his screen time being a smartass, but he only interacts with you at his base or while completing the towers. He won't contact you as you start collecting data packs, destroying relays, or interrogating his goons. As such, this is the Arkham game where he has the least amount of screen time. We can see how different this version of Riddler is when we beat him. He doesn't crash out like he normally does. He's obviously peeved we beat him, but he walks away with a secret and a new rival. He doesn't even get locked up, so in a way, Riddler wins in this game. Sure, his master plan failed, but unlike his future encounters with Batman, he got away. It feels like a much more calm ending compared to the other Riddler hunts. We have a nice chat, break into a side room, and quietly gaze upon the first Riddler trophy. It's very satisfying and a pretty nice way to wrap up our third Riddler hunt. There's only one game left, and it's none other than Arkham Knight. Want to know something crazy? Arkham Knight is almost a decade old, and yet its graphics still rival some modern games. Now, I'd like to think Arkham Knight finds a nice middle ground between the easy baby Riddler challenges in Arkham Asylum and the overabundance of challenges in Arkham City. Rocksteady has been working with this character for many years at this point, and created a Riddler experience that still requires you to do a lot, but at least provides you with meaningful and fun challenges. Not only that, but there are 243 challenges to complete, which is just 3 more challenges than in Arkham Asylum. Of course, things are more complex in this game than they were back then, and we'll be going over all that right now. So I started Riddler's side quest early and was given some unique dialogue for doing so.
Why, hello there, detective. Yes, it's me, your most feared nemesis, the Riddler. Congratulations are in order, for you have arrived early for this, the next generation of my riddles. I'm afraid the full particulars of my plan will have to remain unannounced for the time being, but I see no harm in rewarding the harmless little glimmer of initiative you have shown with a sneak peek, a preview if you will,
of the kind of conundrum I have in store.
After listening to Enigma yap for several minutes, we get introduced to one of his new challenge types. Riddler's quest will actually not require any of his normal challenges to be found and completed until the end. Until then, you have to tackle his underground challenge rooms and something else that I can't talk about quite yet. These underground labyrinths are broken up throughout the story, since some are on islands you can't access yet with the Batmobile. Now, the races are the easiest to understand. Just go around the track 3 times and you win. However, it'd be pretty boring if that was all there was to it, so the tracks change slightly after each lap, getting progressively more difficult as you proceed. This is the first racetrack, so it's obviously not too difficult. It's just meant to give us a taste of what's to come. Afterwards, I did a lot more story stuff before Riddler makes his official debut.
Alfred, I've re-enabled the bridge controls.
Marvelous. I'm rebooting the network now.
Forget Scarecrow. It's time to face your one true nemesis, Batman.
Oh dear. Is that who I think it is?
Enigma. Contact me when you're ready with the bridge.
Riddle me this. Why would a Batman visit an abandoned orphanage?
Eddie, sweetie, you've confused me with Robin. The big guy and I aren't all that close.
Oh, I know. It's because of what will happen to his feline friend if he doesn't get here in time. Shocked, Dark Knight? Stunned? You didn't expect this, did you? That is because you are no match for me, Edward Enigma, the Riddler, and your intellectual superior. Did you think I would just forget our last meeting, Dark Knight? You humiliated me. I know you will not beat me this time. It is utterly impossible. You cannot do it. I have won already. I will mock your attempts to solve my conundrums. I will stand triumphant over your bloodied corpse. And as the dim light fades for good in your tiny dullard's mind, your final thought will be how I have bested you. Come to the orphanage, detective, or she dies.
Following his demands, we head straight to the orphanage to finally figure out what Riddler has planned. Before we get there though, I just want to say that this is a genius move by both Riddler and Rocksteady. None of us would have assumed he'd take Catwoman hostage, but it makes sense seeing how they've worked together and she saved Batman in the last game. Anyways, we make our way to the orphanage to see a Riddler thug trying to gas up his boss. Unfortunately for him, anything glowing green is going to send me into a blind rage.
Keep still. Are you okay?
Perfect. What little girl doesn't dream of being bait for her strapping Dark Knight?
We're leaving.
You might be, but I'm not.
Ah, both contestants are finally here. Tonight, folks, we've got riddles galore. But first, let me introduce my beautiful assistants. I'm growing tired of my dependence upon the least useless dregs I can scrape from Gotham's utterly uninspired underbelly. Why rely on others for help when you can design, program, engineer, and manufacture it yourself?
So Riddler claims that these are his creations, but they are very similar to the Guardian box found in Wonder City. Sure, he improved them, but don't let Riddler fool you. These are not his creations. It's just another example of his ego taking over.
No doubt you enjoyed that, Detective. It's the most fun you'll have all night. You see, Dark Knight, this feisty felonious feline has been fitted with a shiny new collar. With each challenge you complete, you'll get one little key. Collect every key and the kitty goes free. Remove it too soon and the kitty goes boom! But don't despair, Dark Knight. You did one challenge already. So let's see how long it takes for you to turn a running start into a stumble and fall. Take that rocket-fueled roadster and head on over to Chinatown, Detective. Your second test is waiting.
I will be gassing up Riddler's vocal performances from across the series towards the end of the video, but I just wanted to take some time to appreciate just how wonderfully insane Eddie is. His VA has given him so much life, especially in this game.
Well done, Detective. Your true calling as a third-rate circus stuntman becomes clearer by the day.
The way he's written in this game is an absolute treat, and I just wanted to say my piece before we continue on with his challenges.
The preliminaries are done with, Dark Knight. I hope you understand that. Oh, had I so wished, you'd have failed before you had even begun to comprehend the very first hurdle. But no, no, no. I wanted you to know the full extent of my brilliance, you understand? To fully appreciate my superiority. But now, well, I'm not going easy on you anymore.
This Riddler race is a bit tougher than the first. There are blocks you need to move to progress, automated blocks attempting to squish you, and plenty of sharp turns. Still, it's nothing we can't handle. I want to apologize for the pacing during these sections because the races and the challenges here can sometimes be very, very short and simple, so Riddler's going to be mostly taking the reins until we get to the later parts of his questline. I hope you guys don't mind that because obviously it is a Riddler video. I want to show him off as much as I can, so even though I like pop in, say 2 fucking sentences and he says like 20, I hope you still enjoy it, and you know, if you do like the video, I guess. Let's continue on.
Greetings to my costumed contestants. Your next challenge is simple. Guide an electric charge to its destination. I hope the varying amounts of pressure don't get to you.
Another one? What's Eddie's problem?
Fanatic narcissism, egocentrism, and megalomania, crossed with severe obsessive compulsion.
We are faced with an electrical charge puzzle. There are 3 weighted pressure plates on the floor. As such, the pipes will move differently depending on which character stands on the panel. So by switching between Catwoman and Batman, we eventually guide the electrical ball to the end and are rewarded with Riddler bots.
Meet the second generation of my android allies. I've built a variant specifically tailored to each of your dubious abilities.
Batman can only hurt the blue ones and Catwoman can only hurt the red ones. So you gotta switch between the 2 characters as you destroy the bots. With them out of the way, we collect another key and head out of there.
This was nothing, Dark Knight, nothing. A new trial awaits you, Detective, by Divinity Church, and I'm waiting too.
We are now going to skip to after the story has taken place, because that's when I decided to take on Riddler and his many challenges, since story progression wouldn't stand in my way anymore. On top of that, we're gonna skip past a lot of Riddler's challenge rooms. That's because you most likely got the gist of it. Eddie shit talks you, you go do a Batmobile race or a puzzle, work with Catwoman to get a key, possibly head to the orphanage to complete a duo puzzle, and repeat. So I want to talk about the second to last Riddle room before his ultimate challenge.
Well, hello again to my favorite comedy double act. I'd just like to say what a novelty it's been constructing riddle chambers for 2 half-wits instead of 1. Why, that's practically a whole wit between you. Dark Knight, when you failed your feline friend and are done mourning over her headless corpse, perhaps we'll do this again with, Robin? Or maybe that prodigal son of yours over in Bloodhaven.
This is easily one of my favorite Riddler rooms in the entire series. As I'll get into it, a lot of Riddler's challenges in this game are actually fun to complete. Some of them are even mini-games like Simon Says, Memory, and more. But I'll talk about all that later when we get to his usual challenges that have been hidden across the map. This room forces Batman and Catwoman to cross an electrical floor. There is a safe path illuminated on the wall in front for the opposite character on both sides of the room. This means Batman sees Catwoman's path and vice versa. So all you gotta do is look at the path, memorize the way, and move the correct character. However, the entire path doesn't start out illuminated, so you have to inch both characters closer to the end, and as you do, the path becomes more fleshed out. But Riddler will pull some tricky bullshit and have the board you've been staring at start spinning, making it much trickier to know which way to go. I really love this addition. It adds a tough but fair challenge to the puzzle. I won't lie, I had to sit there for a bit at times to work out which path was the correct way to go. Eventually, you'll reach the end with both characters and receive another key.
Well, how clever the pair of you must feel. How smug. Well, I hate to intrude upon this miserable little moment of victory, but I wanted you to be aware you're very unlikely to see one another again. Catwoman, the Batman will fail you, because waiting for him beneath Ranelagh Ferry Terminal is my greatest trial. This is it, Dark Knight. We're done. Well, you're done for, at least. I must admit that I'm feeling quite charitable at the moment of my triumph, so I will give you a choice. Rather than carry on towards your humiliation and death, I will simply let you drive away in return for a signed statement testifying towards my superior intelligence and conceding that I have utterly checkmated you. Oh, the cat will remain a hostage, of course, a symbol of your failure. My, you're actually going to attempt it. Very well. but this is my finest work, Detective. My masterpiece, my Enigma Resistance. So, let us take that inexplicably life-sized children's toy for its final drive.
To give Riddler credit, this is easily the hardest race in the game. On my original playthrough, I failed a good few times. I've even seen other YouTubers struggle to beat it. Riddler is going to throw a lot at you. It's the culmination of every race up until this point. You'll have to be quick with switching the blocks, dodging obstacles, making turns, and more. Riddler will begin crashing out like usual as you complete each lap. On the third, he has enough and takes control of the course, but he also drops one of my favorite lines in the entire Arkham series.
This is it, Dark Knight. Your Teutoburg, your Bay of Pigs, your ultimate defeat. That's it, Detective. Drive faster, drive headlong into defeat. What? Impossible! That cannot be! You should have fallen to your death. I calculated the curvature precisely. I've got the equations right here. I don't understand. How are you still alive? Oh, of course. You got lucky, didn't you? It was luck. Luck! The kindly lifeguard of the idiot. I can hardly factor luck into my equations now, can I? I'm not a homeopath. No! This isn't right. This isn't possible. This isn't happening. I am the Riddler, and you shall not defeat me! Since you cannot even be counted on to kill yourself, I will do it for you. I'm controlling the mechanisms now.
So apparently I'm not good enough to kill myself, so Riddler filled this place to the brim with obstacles that he controls. It makes for a very tense experience, and as such, this is my favorite racetrack in the game. Unfortunately for Eddie, this isn't enough to stop Batman, and we complete his course.
Stop not dying! You did it. The key. Now you collect the key. Those are the rules, and I have to follow the rules, don't I? I set them after all.
Oh, that's it. No more.
Congratulations, Catwoman. You are now free. Free to take my final exam. To take my final exam.
Eddie, I didn't know you'd started cheating. I'm disappointed.
I dissemble. I artfully obfuscate. But I do not cheat. As you and Batman will discover when you attempt my final riddle room. Do you have a photographic memory, Detective? Because I do. I can summon your sneering features at will. That is when they don't burst unbidden into my brain. I have perfect recall, too. I can remember every time you've hurt me. Sometimes I wake up, Dark Knight, to the feel of your hands around my neck, your carbon fiber-coated fists smashing into my solar plexus. How dare you brutalize me? Me! Your intellectual superior. Your better. Me, Edward Enigma, the Riddler, and the world's greatest everything. You're a thug, Detective, a bullying emblem of the arrogant notion that might makes right. Come back to the orphanage, where I will end you and the unjust things you stand for. Meet the Riddle Square, a puzzle which draws influence from both late 20th century puzzle cubes and mid-15th century torture devices.
This last puzzle room is honestly easy as hell. There are several pressure plates and generators down below. Only Catwoman can jump down there, so Batman has to remain above. As we can see, there's a beam of light that we need to open the way for. What I mean is we have to move the blocks until the space underneath the light is empty. We do this by powering on the generators, but that's Batman's part in this. Catwoman, however, can stand on any of the pressure plates. Upon doing so, it'll lock the block in place for as long as Selina is on it. So you'll have to maneuver Selina in the blocks until you solve the puzzle. But there are 3 rounds of this, and after the first round, you'll have to free up the space underneath 2 beams. At the end of each round, Riddler uses the big-ass saw from Arkham City to clear the board. He's attempting to kill Catwoman, but you can put Selina out of harm's way before solving the puzzle. So by the time Enigma even tries to kill her, she's already on the floor above looking down at his piss-poor murder attempt. Anyways, complete all the rounds and Selina can finally go free. With a job well done, it's time to head out for some fresh air. Okay, so when the fuck did Riddler somehow become one of the coolest parts of Arkham Knight? That cutscene was absolutely kick-ass. And look at his mech, that thing looks sick! So we now get a taste of the Riddler boss fight. Yes, that's right. In Arkham Knight, Riddler has had enough of being pushed around and finally grows a pair to fight you. I love this character progression. Eddie has always preferred having his creations or informants do the dirty work for him. So now he's developed so much to the point he's willing to fucking fight Batman! I'm gonna gas his fight up later because this encounter with him doesn't last long, because Riddler cucks us yet again.
Enough! This is beneath me. You are beneath me. You want to finish this, detective? Then you must earn the privilege. Solve every last riddle in this city and I'll fight you, Batman, but not a moment before.
Or we could just leave you down there, Eddie. Come on, Batman. This cat wants to prowl.
Selina must not know what video this is. I'm not about to get a taste of that fight only to leave him down there forever. Nah, I want that fight badly, you do not understand. And so I'm gonna solve every motherfucking riddle he's hidden throughout the rest of the game. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our last Riddler hunt. To keep up with Eddie's theme in this game, he's stepped up his riddles by a lot. I don't want to go over every change or new quirk, so I'll just say that every puzzle type from the previous games got an overhaul or a rework. I'm going to admit that Arkham Knight's Riddler is actually fun to beat. This is because so many of his riddles or challenges are thought-provoking, interesting, or just downright fun to do. I'll give some examples as I go over the main Riddler challenge types found throughout Arkham Knight. Let's start with the new challenges first. Arkham Knight is infamous for how often you use the damn Batmobile, so it seems fitting to go over the new Batmobile-related challenges. In a general sense, you'll be using the Power Wench, Scan, or rarely the Cannon, in addition to Batman's normal gadgets to clear these challenges and collect their Riddler trophies. I like these type of puzzles because you need to utilize both Batman and the Batmobile to solve them. But what I don't like is the next type of Batmobile challenges, which are the scannable ones. You find this weird powered thing related to Riddler, and once you scan the area, a trail of question marks will lead you to the trophy. On a first playthrough, these were admittedly interesting, especially when the question marks would go somewhere you can't access easily, so you'd have to quickly take a different route to get to where they are. But on this repeat playthrough, they just felt like they're padding the runtime. I know they aren't, and hell, I just admitted to liking them beforehand, but on my recent playthrough, it was just so boring, slowly tracking these fucking question marks until I reached the prize. But on a lighter note, the last type of Batmobile Riddler challenge is the races. These come in two varieties, one that requires the Batmobile and the other that just needs you to glide very quickly. The Batmobile ones have you power on a generator. After doing so, a waypoint will appear and Riddler will challenge you to a race. You'll have to reach its location before the timer reaches 0, because if it does, the contraption with the Riddler trophy will shut close and you'll have to try again. These challenge types are very interesting in how you locate them. At some of the highest points in Gotham, you can find the end of the race with the Riddler trophy still in its contraption. Nearby will be a set of coordinates that will lead you to the start of the race. From there, just glide or drive until you beat them. The next new challenge type we'll be dealing with is related to the Enigma bots. In Arkham Knight, we get a device that lets us mimic voices and give commands to enemies. After taking a chip from the robots, we can give them orders, which makes up a majority of these puzzle types. Whether it's ordering them to grab a trophy, destroy a sentry bot, or stand in a place where they can be crushed, you'll be calling the shots and giving them orders to complete these challenge types. But sometimes the Enigma bots will show up and you won't be able to give them orders. Those types of puzzles will have some way to use a gadget or the Batmobile to neutralize the threats. Moving on, the last of the new Riddler challenges is the bomb victims. I could explain how it works, but Eddie does my job for me.
Oh, good, you're here. Lately, Batman, I've been pondering the value of human life, and your strange insistence upon preserving even its basest forms. Take the barely literate triple murderer in the nearby riot. He's a dead man come dawn. When the microbomb I surreptitiously placed in his brain explodes. My hypothesis is simple. When faced with the task of trying to save one condemned man amongst that gaggle of idiots, even you will give up in despair. Oh, and don't knock him out. What little brain activity he has keeps that cranial combustible from detonating.
These puzzles are easy. All you gotta do is use a remote batarang to find out which of the thugs below have a bomb in their head. Afterward, you just have to find some way to charge the batarang and run into the rioter. Or if they're out in the open and close enough, you could use the remote electrical charge to do the job instead. Now, I just want to say that I adore these puzzles. They are painfully easy, but I find them so charming for many reasons. For starters, Riddler is once again putting Batman's ideals to the test, seeing if he'll do whatever he can to save a life, even if it's a criminal. His dialogue in these sections do repeat, but I love the lines that he offers.
Well, congratulations, hero. You saved a murderer, a monster, a moron. The gene pool thanks you for your efforts. There's more doomed men in Gotham tonight. You won't prove your obnoxiously principled point until you save them all. Until you save them all. I don't understand. I offer you the deaths of these marauding monsters, and you go out of your way to save them. Why? Ethics over logic, Batman. It'll be your downfall. Downfall.
I love that he seems genuinely baffled at times at the fact that you'd save a criminal who has most likely killed someone and will kill again. Eddie can't fathom why Batman would choose ethics over logic, and I love to see it. On top of that, it's like a minigame of Where's Waldo. Of course, it's way easier since you can literally scan every fucker until they turn bright red, but once again, I want to reiterate that I find it charming. It also adds more to Batman's character. Only one life out of the many down on those streets are in danger, and yet he'll go out of his way to save them. I love shit like that, and it's why I fell in love with the Arkham series in the first place. And the fact he's voiced by Kevin Conroy makes him my favorite Batman portrayal out there. Rest in peace to the GOAT that was Kevin Conroy. I figured I may as well pay my respects to him at some point in the video because this man lived one hell of a life. Seriously, do yourself a favor and look up a documentary or video essay on Kevin Conroy. Dude was a gay actor who had to go through a lot of struggles, and I mean a lot. But he pushed through and eventually got to voice everybody's favorite Dark Knight. So once again, rest in peace to Kevin Conroy. I hope you're at peace. Anyways, sappy shit aside, that's all of the new Riddler challenges dealt with, which means we can delve into familiar territory. Riddler trophies and the many contraptions that guard them, riddles, and destructibles all make a return in Arkham Knight. Perspective puzzles, collectibles, and panel puzzles where you can't touch the floor have all been removed. So you'd think that only 3 familiar Riddler challenge types would be easy, but you'd be wrong because like I said, the Riddler trophies and contraptions got an upgrade, but destructibles and riddles remain unchanged. So instead of going over information we learned back in Arkham City, I figure why not go over some of my favorite Riddler trophy challenges to give you an idea of how different yet familiar they are. First up is the memory game, which is quite possibly my favorite contraption standing in the way of a Riddler trophy. To find the puzzle, you just have to head back to the movie studio after plot stuff happened. Riddler will have changed the stage into a game show. He'll shit talk you a bit before text flashes on the screen. It seems simple enough, just remember the sequence, then hit the colors in the right order. Except Eddie is a tricky bitch. The text has color, but they also spell out a color as well. You need to instead hit the colors in a sequence related to the words. I don't know if I explained that properly, so basically, if it says blue, but it's colored orange, you still hit the color blue. I'm man enough to admit it that I failed a good few times because it was so fast that I couldn't keep up. But nonetheless, you complete all of the rounds and collect your reward. I like these challenges because it's just a mini game and I love the novelty of it. There are tons more like it, especially with the ball-related Riddler trophies. These are simple, you just guide the ball to the end like you did in Arkham City. But some of these have generators that spin the entire board, so you have to rotate it in a way that gets the ball to the end. It's very simple, but once again, I like the novelty of it. Not only that, but in the Arkham Knight's headquarters, specifically when hanging off the ledge near those big-ass fans, you can see a different type of ball puzzle. The ball will spawn on its own and begin rolling down the path until you either open the path for it, or it goes off the path and resets. Once you get the ball to the end, you'll need to guide 2 of them at the same time. They have some distance between them, so you'll have to juggle guiding both of them to the end. This was an excellent puzzle I couldn't get enough of. Hopefully those 2 examples give you an idea of how different yet familiar some of these challenges are. Like for example, Riddler will still leave some trophies out in the open, but there was this one time where he left a Riddler trophy inside a big ass building in Gotham. The only way to enter it was by gliding through the glass. Like this entire room was built just for a Riddler trophy, and yet they decorated the hell out of it. Now like I said, they may be updated, but the contraptions and trophy spots are familiar enough for returning players to have an edge. I wish I could say more, but we've done this song and dance 3 times at this point, and this will be our 4th. So you understand how everything works, and it'd be silly to repeat myself. So skipping ahead, there are only 10 riddles left. At this point, Enigma begins realizing that he may actually have to fight you, and his dialogue is just so damn good not to share.
Only 10 riddles remaining. You must be getting rather nervous at the thought of confronting me, right? You do realize, Detective, that we are going to fight, don't you? To the death. I, of course, am not afraid. But I want you to consider solving the remaining 9 riddles very carefully. For your own sake. 8 left. 8 left? I don't know exactly how you're cheating, Detective, but I know you are. I'm beginning to think you don't deserve the privilege of battling me. Perhaps I will withhold the honor. On principle. Very well. When we fight, I will not go easy on you, but unleash the full force of my fury. your chances of doom increase exponentially with each of the 7 remaining riddles you solve. 6 riddles left. This is patently absurd. You should have literally died from the mental exhaustion hours ago. So, 5 riddles left. No doubt you left them because they were too hard. You probably thought you lacked the relevant gadget. But too bad, Detective. You're just too dumb. 4 to go. I am oiling my mechanisms in anticipation of our confrontation, Detective, but I expect you'll disappoint me. 3 left? My, you're rather keen on fighting me, aren't you? Well, good. I'm looking forward to it too. 2 left? 2 riddles remaining? It's impossible. It's like I've been transported to some alternate reality where you are the genius and I am the idiot with an overinflated sense of his own abilities. 1 riddle remaining. I don't understand. What I do know, Detective, is that you can't even fail correctly. That's how incompetent you are.
So, you solved them all. Well. What a smart little detective you turned out to be. My one mistake has always been very slightly overestimating just how stupid you are. Come back to the orphanage, Detective, and I'll deconstruct you like a flimsy philosophical position.
Well, Dark Knight, it seems you have earned the right to die at my mechanical hands. But let us be clear, we do not meet as equals. In fact, you literally have not a hope of victory.
I will once again give Riddler props for actually fighting Batman. As we heard previously, this dude was having second thoughts, but he has this need to prove that he's superior, so he stands his ground and faces you. He'll do whatever it takes to beat Batman, even if it means facing him in combat, which, may I remind you, this is Arkham Batman. This motherfucker is scary as hell and overpowered with what he's capable of. So I don't blame Eddie for taking this long to fight him. I still respect Riddler even when he fucking cheats and has robots that Batman literally can't harm. Luckily for him, Catwoman comes back not only to save Batman, but to get some revenge on Riddler, which sets him off. Bro has been losing his mind beforehand, but we get to hear Riddler crash out, and I love it.
So many riddles! There's no way you solved them all!
Sorry, Eddie, but it looks like you're cheating to me.
No! What are you doing here? This is not your fight, Cat!
Eddie, sweetie, you invited me, remember? And then you tied me to a chair.
You shouldn't be here! You shouldn't have got this far! No! My plan! I am smart! I am the best!
Be my guest!
I am the Riddler! How did you
Let's not waste any time here.
them all! It was perfect! My perfect victory! You cheated! I will forcibly extract a confession! You solved all my riddles? How?
Once again, you can just hear the effort that the voice actor is putting into his lines. Bro is full on losing it, shouting at Batman as loud as possible. His perfect plan has been foiled yet again, and he's losing it. Now the fight itself is pretty fun. It's just like any other time you fought the Enigma bots, except now Riddler will switch their colors and shoot a big ass laser at you. This makes the fight different enough to be fun. Riddler's fight is easily my favorite fight in Arkham Knight. It's an easy 3-phase fight where you just beat up all the bots, run up on Riddler when his shield is down, and repeat. Do it all 3 times and you can finally take down Riddler.
Thanks, Selina, for the daring last-minute rescue. It was very heroic.
It was under control.
Sure it was. Now be a good damsel and bestow a kiss on your gallant hero.
Play nice.
You're not playing at all.
No, I'm not. Not anymore.
And what's that supposed to mean?
It means this is the end, Selina. It means we can't. I can't.
I will see you again, right?
No one will. Gotham needs something more. Something worse to defend her. She needs a new myth. A legend more powerful than I can be right now. A legend that can only rise from the ashes of the Batman.
Some things you can't do alone, Bruce.
And some things you have to.
Call if you need me.
I won't.
I know. I just wanted to say it.
Where am I? What's happening to me?
You're a smart man, Edward. I'm sure you'll figure it out.
No, no, no. You cheated. Catwoman cheated. She stole my victory from me.
A fight I couldn't win? That doesn't even fit your definition of playing fair.
It was fair! If you weren't able to bypass the robot's multi-layer encryption, decipher their unique operating system, and reprogram them mid-battle, that doesn't mean you get to call in assistance.
You need help, Enigma.
I never need help with anything!
Out you go, Enigma.
Ha! I could have brought me here twice as quickly.
Well, riddle me this. Was Green proud and ass kicked all over?
How exceedingly droll. I won't be needing a lawyer, you jumped-up security guard. I will represent myself. You forget, you bothersome bat. Every time you overcome my puzzles, I learn that little bit more about you. Soon enough, there will be a riddle that leaves you dead.
With him behind bars, I can finally say that we are done with Arkham Riddler. And what a satisfying conclusion this was. Riddler has always been piss easy or outright annoying, but Arkham Knight made him fun in my opinion. And the fact we get a satisfying boss fight with him is the cherry on top. It feels weird to say, but we just covered a character whose story was being built up over 6 years in 4 games. Enigma is easily my favorite side character in the Arkham series. He's made me laugh on several occasions, had me stump for hours at a riddle or two, or made me feel like a genius for finally solving a puzzle I'd been stuck on. Beating Riddler is one hell of an experience, and dare I say, it's unforgettable. I don't mean to get sappy or emotional, but I will always look back fondly on those long nights, vibing to some music, video, or a stream, as I cut down on the Riddler challenges in one of the games. I love this character and I love this series, hence why I made this video in the first place. It's a way to pay my respects to a series that's been around for a majority of my life. A series filled with unforgettable characters and stories. If you somehow haven't played an Arkham game and you chose a video made by my dumbass, first of all, you are a fool for choosing me, and second of all, treat yourself and get the Arkham games. I guarantee you won't regret it. Okay, sappy shit aside, for some final wrap up, it took me a whopping 20 hours and 30 minutes to beat Arkham Knight, Riddler, and achieve the Nightfall ending. A majority of those hours was spent on Riddler, so I figured I could just state how long my playthrough was. You received the usual rewards for beating Riddler, like concept art, tapes, and yada yada yada. But because this is Arkham Knight, you also get to see Riddler behind bars, and his mech on display in Cash's collection. Now Riddler makes one more appearance in the Arkham Knight DLC, Catwoman's Revenge. Selina is still pissed at Riddler, so she's gone to rob the fucker while he rots in a cell, planning to take every last dollar he owns. This DLC plays identically to the vault section in Arkham City. You make your way through the toy store, pickpocketing the guards until you get the key cards you need to access Riddler's robot factory. I just want to say that this location is so cool. Like, sure, it's just another Predator encounter, but the environment is so unique. I deadass walked around after taking care of the guards because I love the environment that much. Anyways, you just take out the guards and move towards the factory entrance.
Let's see. Switches and symbols, of course. Why is it never a lock? I can pick locks.
Living up to his name, there's a puzzle standing in the way of the entrance. I gotta love how distrustful Riddler is. Despite all the guards he's hired and the security he installed, he still expected the entrance to his factory to be unlocked. So he put one last safeguard in the form of a puzzle. Unfortunately for him, it's a fairly simple puzzle to solve. You just have to find the objects that matches the statues and take note of their numbers. Those numbers will give you the order in which you need to press the statues. For example, the robot had a 1 on it, so that's the first in the sequence. After finding 3 of the numbers, since Riddler was dumb enough to have the 3rd one right next to the puzzle, I entered the sequence and could move on towards the factory.
Elevator manual override activated. Beginning descent.
What?
Hey, Eddie.
Catwoman.
Catwoman.
Aren't you in prison?
Ha! No prison can hold me. Hang on a second. Why, yes, Officer Cash, I'm just talking to my lawyer. Get out!
Calm down, Eddie. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna steal all your money and destroy everything you've built here. Okay?
No! I don't approve of that defense strategy, good sir. Riddler, attack!
Riddler sicks his bots on us for the very last time. All the while he tries to covertly shit-talk us while the cops walk by his cell. Anyways, like his boss fight and his many challenges, there are 3 waves of Riddler bots you'll have to get through. The first wave is just some basic combat with them, but as the next wave starts, 2 lasers will activate and begin moving throughout the arena. These lasers and the army of bots make for a very tense and challenging combat encounter. But it's somehow gonna get worse as we reach the final wave. This is because we have an absolute army of bots to destroy, the lasers are back moving around randomly, and now the floor will progressively become electrified as the fight goes on. The electric floor will start from one corner and slowly move along the edges of the arena and box you in. So you have to destroy all the bots quickly. That said, this is challenging as hell. On my first playthrough, I died at least 10 times on this part. Luckily for me, it seems I've gotten better at the combat and only died twice trying to overcome that last wave. With the bots dealt with, it's time to access Riddler's PC and take everything he owns.
Oh gee, it's locked.
And encrypted, so good luck.
Voice print accepted. Welcome, the Riddler.
No!
Thanks, Eddie.
No! I won't accept a plea bargain!
Eddie, you're not going to need 2.73 million in jail, are you? They feed you for free.
Stop!
And what are you going to do with a robot factory while you're in there? Arrange some sort of elaborate prison break?
Please, please. Do you want me to beg? I can beg. Mercy. Mercy. Please!
All right, Enigma, time you calm down. Get off the phone.
Bye-bye, Eddie.
Unhand and unhook me, you authoritarian attack dog! Oh, a taser? You think a taser frightens me? I am the Riddler, and you will not...
And that was Catwoman's Revenge, a fun little side story of how Selina finally got back at Riddler for taking her hostage. There's tons of fun dialogue throughout this DLC from Riddler and his goons, which makes the DLC even better for someone like me. I wasn't expecting this to be so challenging, especially with the number of enemies they swarm you within both the Predator sections and the combat encounters. But that's a good thing. I'd rather have a slightly challenging DLC rather than one I can beat with ease. And now we've reached the end of the video. Around 12,000 words later, and who knows how many hours spent editing, this monster of a video is done. This was a massive undertaking, but I wanted to do it for several reasons. As I said, Riddler is my favorite side character throughout the series. He's witty, funny, and downright insane, and his presence and challenges add so much to the games. So when I hear about the number of people who flat out ignore him because they don't want to bother with the collectibles, it's understandable, but I want them to experience how wonderful this character is. So I thought I'd make this video to give you guys that experience from start to finish. Before I go, I want to make a deal with y'all. With all of the Riddler challenges completed, I have access to all of the audio logs from every game. So I figured why not tackle a different style of video and make one that showcases every single audio log in the games. You've probably seen videos like it, but I want to add B-roll, music, and more, and not just make it some static, boring-ass video of sitting there looking at the character pages as the tapes play. So if you go down in the comments and say, riddle me this, I will make that video. Now I don't have high hopes for how well this video will do, so I won't ask for an amount. I'll simply just see if people do it, and if I consider it enough, then I'll make that video. Thank you so much for watching this video and making it to the end. I am so glad I got to share this Riddler experience with you, and I hope you now see why I love this question-marked bastard so much. It's been a hell of a ride, and I'll see you in the next video.